The nature of the knowledge presented by the canon. The canon is a précis and not a sum total of Avicenna's knowledge. Numerous passages occur in the canon which shows that this is the case. That it is a series of notes or skeleton outlines of thought not too long to be memorized by his students much as they would memorize the Quran. Thus to the full extent necessary, and yet with apt brevity, * do not place in medicine what does not belong to it, having discussed the equable temperaments sufficiently. I purposely omit reference to certain other problems relative to the fluids of the body. * just as much as is necessary to enable you to practice medicine intelligently. Many passages also refer to others of his works for further details to avoid confusing the purely medical issue of the canon. These works are gradually becoming more widely known. Generally speaking, the saying of the saints and sages are terse, presenting only the germs of truth. These are developed by later teachers and then expanded and added to. We must see to it, however, that we get at the original meaning of the saints and sages. The word canon - equivalent words, code of laws, series of principles. The principle is defined as something antecedent, which exercises a real positive influence upon the consequent equals causes reasons. Given this, it is clear that the canon is not properly to be regarded as an encyclopedia of the knowledge of the time, or to be contrasted, for instance, with the now classical Osier. The word knowledge. Knowledge is not simply an assemblage of facts. Nor is it to be made synonymous with truth - certainly not absolute truth, of which all human knowledge falls short. Although one single word is capable of containing or implying all knowledge, as in mathematics a single term may be equated with an infinite number of terms summed together. But even the mathematical sciences can only afford approximate truth. We may recall the words, "If he attains to all knowledge, he is far off still." Facts, as S. Thomas 81, explains, are what our intellect regards external objects as, and as we judge them only in terms of our sense organs, these objects may be different. God knows them as they are. Our intellect depends on our imagination, and that depends on our senses. And our senses only convey discrete fragments which we gather into one continuous impression regardless of intervening points. We live as it were in a network only the nodes of which are evident to the senses. Mystical insight - there is a distinction between knowledge gained ordinarily and that gained by mystical insight kashf. The writer of Gulshan-i-Razi advises his readers to follow this, saying, and straightway lift yourself above time and space, quit the world and be yourself a world for yourself. The moment we are enlightened within, we go beyond the voidness of a world confronting us. As this opens up all of a sudden a world hitherto undreamed of, it is an abrupt and discrete leaping from one plane of thought to another. IB. p. 200. Real science is seeing the fire directly, not mere talk, inferring the fire from the smoke. Your scientific proofs are more offensive to the wise than the urine and breath whence a physician inters. Man looks at the surface of the ocean. Yet he is so small that he cannot even be compared to one of its drops, limited as he is in intellect and his knowledge. It is only to those who, having just touched creation, bow to God forgetting their limited self, that God has remained. These through whom God has spoken are the only beings who have been able to give any truth to the world. 33. The mind is not like a horizontal door which has to be made larger by force. You must clear away the obstructions arising from creaturely desire, and then it will be pure and clear with no limit to its knowledge. Hung Chu said, when the mind is enlarged it can enter into everything throughout the universe. Chu Shi 10, I. 182, he who praises God knows about him. This attitude towards nature is to be claimed for Avicenna, on the plain evidence of his other writings, including the Al-Najat, which appropriately appears in the Arabic version of the canon printed at Rome in 1593. and of the libellus on the powers of the heart, for which Arnold of Villanova translated into Latin, ca. 1235 to 1312, and is included in the Latin edition of the Canon, 1595. The acquisition of knowledge by this process demands nothing more than a keen observation of the life around us, and was as much within his reach as ours. Such knowledge is not too restricted to one period of history, one language, or one or two universities. And if it should seem that because our civilization is so different his opportunities were much less, we may pause to reflect that the difference between our age and his is chiefly one of mechanical appurtenances and phraseology. And that even to this day we need not travel far to see much the same sort of scenery as he was accustomed to. Much the same sort of life as is drawn in the 1001 Nights. In any case, what is human life, at the bottom, but a matter of buying and selling, receiving and giving, seizing and relinquishing, constructing and demolishing, acquiring learning and losing it, seeking power and breaking it, bidding and forbidding, covenanting and comminating, giving in marriage and seeking to obtain in marriage, birth and death? Further than this, to find that some of the statements in the canon are certainly erroneous and that modern investigations have placed us at an infinitely greater advantage does not invalidate the work as a whole. Its possibilities for suggesting thoughts of real value today are more realized the more one reads between the lines, and the present treatise does not claim to exhaust them. Let not the authority of the writer offend thee whether he be of title or great learning, but let the love or pure truth entice thee to read. Insight into eternal truths. A person may glimpse them, understand them moderately, understand them fairly thoroughly. The canon treats of I. Speculative medicine. Certain fundamental principles too. Practical medicine. A. Application of I to the study of health, disease, cessation of life. B. Actual treatment of disease by regimen, drugs, and operative interference. Modern medicine consists of A. Principles of medicine theory. The application of the facts of chemistry, physics, anatomy, and biology to the systematic description of innumerable diseases classified as far as possible based on the microbic theory. Symptomatology. Etiology. Diagnosis. B. Practice of medicine. Laboratory work. Therapeutics, pharmacology, and dietetics. Surgery. Gynecology and obstetrics. State medicine, hygiene in all its branches.